So today is the 25th anniversary of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, so I thought I'd do a short rundown on my 2-in-1 machine here. Tried to shoot a video of this thing a few times and wasn't successful. Had a few glitches I had to work out. This game has a switcher underneath the control panel to toggle between TMNT and Turtles in Time. Both of these boards are original. So you can see the original TMNT down at the bottom corner there, and Turtles in Time parked right in front of it. On top is a Mike's switcher with the original JAMA plugged into it with some jumper harnesses running to each board. The glowing LEDs above, and that is a separate 2-relay bank that controls the coin up for the 3rd and 4th player, because the JAMA portion of the harness does not actually get handled by it doesn't handle the 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th player. It only handles 1st and 2nd. So the 3rd and 4th player go into a JAMA auxiliary kick harness. Well, I guess it's not JAMA, it's just the auxiliary line that runs back to the board to control 3rd and 4th player on each game, as you can see here. And the issue is that on most games, when you are playing one or the other with a mic switcher, it keeps both boards powered up. So you go to start, say, Donatello, and it'll start Donatello on both games. I have the relays set up so that it cancels the game that is not being powered on. So as you can see, it's still in demo mode. I can come over here and do the same thing with Raph, switch it back over, nothing. And then if I coin up Don and Raph, you can see I can switch back over here. I still have 1 credit. I still got to do a little bit of adjusting to the monitor. This thing has not been capped yet. It's got the original K7000 and it runs great, but there's just a few little quirks here and there, and the geometry's a little out here. You can see it's a little bit of an arch to it yet, but I'll get that squared up once I get this thing capped. I'll deal with that later. But I just wanted to show everybody what I did to this game. Originally, before I'd purchased it, somebody had set this thing up with their buttons for the credits. That's how I was able to do Raph and Don just a minute ago. The coin doors are still functioning. I installed a jumper harness on the 3rd and 4th player that actually goes between the original harness. You can see the yellow coating here that they have for the joystick that goes into the original harness, and all I did was make a bridge harness that goes between player 3 and player 4, so it's not really invasive. And I did the same thing here with the Molex connectors down here at the coin door to handle the 3rd and 4th player coin up to jump in between and take the leads from that and bring it over to my switcher, the 2 relays. The relays are actually triggered off of this yellow relay on Mike's switcher. That's the sound relay. On the reverse side of that switcher, which is controlling the sound, there's an unused pin that will send 0 or 5 volts. So I took the opportunity to run a hookup wire from that point out to the JAMA output on one of my jumper harnesses, and then from that point I went from the jumper harness out to the relays. Depending on the game that started, it either switches the relays on simultaneously or switches them off. I ran into a little bit of an issue here. The LEDs just run off of the 5-volt feed that comes off of the original power supply. A couple of things to note. the power supply hitting each board was 4.6 volts. So I actually had to crank up the voltage just a little bit to see 5 volts across all 3 boards. And I noticed once when I was toggling this back and forth a little bit more repeatedly, you're actually activating 3 relays. You've got your sound control switching relay on the mic switcher, and then of course each switching relay on the double switching relay board here. And what had happened was it blew the 5 volt fuse. And so I might eventually switch that out and put a auto reset 5 amp breaker, and I haven't decided if I'm going to. So far I haven't experienced that problem again. As long as you're not activating the relays multiple times quickly, it doesn't seem to overload the 5 volt fuse. But I also haven't recapped the original power supply on this thing yet either, so it could be that there's not enough capacitance to handle the draw from, you know, the 3 relays simultaneously or something like that. But we'll see. You know, once I go through the original boards, the K7000 chassis and the sound portion of the boards, and the power supply, and I recap that stuff, we'll see how it handles without changing the original 5 volt fuse down there to an auto reset breaker. The sound is actually pretty simple on this one. This is an original Turtles cab, so of course it's got mono. I suppose you could mod it to get stereo out to another set of speakers if you wanted to without any hang-ups. The JAMA switcher handles all that because the original setups will run from TMNT, will run the JAMA side of the mono, so you don't have to do any wiring at all for your audio to connect the Turtles in Time and have it work in a Turtles game. Going the other way around, putting a Turtles into a Turtles in Time, you're only gonna get mono out of it. So you might have to pay a little bit closer attention to the diagram in the factory service manual. One of the flaws I saw in the factory service manual was that they said that the control panel, the jump and attack is inverted on Turtles in Time. So you just have to be aware of that when you are monkeying with all of your wiring and you do your jumper harnesses. Just be sure you invert those 2 pins on all 4 controllers. Now in the manual it says that just 1 and 2 are inverted on Turtles in Time, but in reality all 4 of them are inverted, even on the kick harnesses, so you have to invert the jump and attack on the kick harnesses as well to keep your callouts the same if you're going to keep this arrangement for Turtles in Time. Now if you don't want to, if you want it to go attack and jump on Turtles in Time, I mean, you don't have to change anything, you can just leave it alone. Just go, you know, plug and play. But yeah, so far everything's working pretty good. I've seen a few mods where people will put a toggle on the coin door, which works great. And I've seen a couple of places that'll do other things to sort out the false start issue, or some people just don't care, you know, and they just reset the game or whatever. I just wanted it to be usable and more user-friendly. I opted to put the button underneath here in the center of the game. It's a little close to the Donatello start button here, the credit button. But this is a leaf switch button that's a little taller and it's concave. This one is a little flatter, it's convex, and it's illuminated, so I can kind of, you know, tell where I'm at even if I don't want to take my hands off of the controller or anything like that to coin them up, or take my eyes off the screen while I'm playing. And you know, this way, you know, it's a little bit more functional than just having the switch hidden somewhere out of use. I don't like changing games much at all. This was the exception that I made just to get the Turtles all in one cab. I was even considering putting the Simpsons in here, but I scratched that idea. I'm fine with it just being Turtles. You know, because the bottom of the control panel had already been modified, I didn't feel like, you know, it was really that invasive for me to put that button up underneath there, and it's in a pretty convenient location for anybody trying to play the game. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can finish up the restoration on this thing this year. I'm gonna do my best to try to find as much original stuff that I can to put it in, and then see what's up. So hopefully I can get the CP art and the side art squared away. This side's not so bad. It's got some gouging and stuff on the lower panel. This one's got some scratches straight through April's face that look like, I don't know if that was intentional or if it was just somebody, not being careful moving stuff around. But I'm going to take care of it. I've also got another marquee for it that I might put in that's actually signed by the voice cast and by Kevin Eastman. So we'll see. But yeah, I just thought I'd, put this down for anybody who's interested, and if you really want, any of the wiring diagrams or schematics or anything, or any more information off the back side of that mic switcher there, in order to get those relays working so that you don't have the false start issue, I can give you that information. But I just thought it'd be, pretty useful to anybody trying to get one of these systems going with 2 original boards and not have the false start problem, and have everything set up as convenient as possible to enjoy the games. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.